Have a nice. So this is a continuation to my last video about decolonizing urbanism and botany and our relationship to the land and things of that such. And there's just a couple of things that I really want to just note and just make my major point. You've been colonized when you no longer not only don't have a native tongue, but you no longer have those what we call cultural traditions, whereby you pass down a lot of your knowledge through orally. You don't have relationships with like your elders and things of that nature. When those things have been stripped, that's a major form or major symbol of colonization. And so that's why in a lot of cultures, a lot of people in Africa, native people, even though they're still in some sort of a decolonization process as well, it's not as strong, it's not as potent, because some of them still have native tongue, and even if they don't have just a native tongue, they still speak English in some ways. They still have their family relationships, their elders. They still pass things down orally, which is very important. And a big thing that I would just really want to say is that when we want to learn and really not just learn about plants, not just learn about them, I think it's important to identify and acknowledge and think about and evaluate where we get our information from, and how to filter that information, because we are in a very we're living in perilous times, right? It was the end days. Things are discombobulated. Things are just there's a lot of chaos in the world, especially within our families, and a lot of people have somehow been stripped from our families. A lot of our families don't have this knowledge anymore, or whatever the case may be. But I think it's really important that, when you're learning about plants and herbs and just the land, how to live, how to be, it is really important to, first of all, yes, have a relationship with the Most High. That's first and foremost, to just return to that source, that that eternal source where everything stems from in the first place. And also, it's also important, I think, to seek, this is important to me at least, to seek elders or people who are knowledgeable in traditional, quote unquote, traditional knowledge. When I say traditional, I just mean non-scientific, or when I say non-scientific, I mean not based in what we call the white man's mind, not based in Western, modern, foreign ideas. That kind of glorifies foreigners, that glorifies man and not the Most High, and that glorifies just these images of these grandiose beings who came and explored and conquered and discovered and all of these things. I think that's so important, and not glorifying the people that took our minds away from us. And I say that lightly, because I do understand that those things happen to us, and like colonization, all of those things happen because we weren't savages in the sense that we were somehow godless, and that we didn't know how to live and survive and thrive. But we somehow, the world became what it is today because, as native people, as indigenous people, we knew that there was a supreme being, a supreme essence, though we also began to engage, we began to commune or just enter into covenants with lesser gods. And that's just the general experience, that's the general reality. So in order for us to, in the process of us decolonizing and all of this stuff, right, I'm using these terms, but you get what I mean. I think it's important to seek those who are knowledgeable, seek those elders, build relationships with those who are still closer to that essence and still have these things intact, still have that still are intact, still in relationships, still in communion with that essence, and it hasn't been so much stripped from them that they no longer know about these plants and about the land and about how to live and thrive without, science and without what someone else told them in their brain, or what I would say the evil one told them these things were. What has been passed to them was from God in the first place, is how they experienced and how they received the gifts from the Most High. I don't see anything wrong with us, receiving or learning and seeking out relationships with those kind of people, because that's going to be very important. I feel that's a very big part in decolonization, because you can learn, and people get into natural living and herbalism and botany and whatever other word people use to describe learning about plants and the nature of plants and the land and things of that such, the ecosystem, all of these things. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think we should analyze and evaluate where we're getting the information from, because there is a right and a wrong. There is good and evil. It does exist. And there are certain intentions. There were certain intentions with certain systems being put into place. Like I said before in my last video, implications are real. So yeah, like I was saying a little bit before, I was saying that traditionally, culturally, how we pass knowledge as indigenous people, as native people, everything is passed on orally. And I said in my last video that we gave names to certain plants and trees and things in nature based on the characteristics, like stinking toe. If you know what that is in Jamaica, like certain names come from describing them, like how we engage with them, how we interact with them, how we, like our experience gauging the land. That's how we gave names to things. That's how we describe things. So I just want to really emphasize that, because for some reason it really does not, sit well when I just get in this thing of, I need to learn these plants, and I want to, not need to, but I want to learn them because I want to be in more of a relationship with nature when I go around. That's a good thing, but there's just something that's always, pulling me away from being so gung-ho on knowing scientific names. And I don't want to be so much into those systems, because those are systems. Herbalism and those are systems. Those are learning systems. Those are schools of thought. And that seems to be a big issue in the world, these different schools of thought, because where did these schools of thought come from? Who created them? They may have gotten their they may have been inspired by native people and our relationship with the land, but those things were stripped from us, and so now someone else has created their own versions of them and put their names on it, instead of just leaving it alone. Because when native people gave names to things, we didn't give it a name to describe our own self. We didn't give it a name to exalt our own self, like how foreigners did, So there's a lot I can say about this topic, but I think I'm going to leave it there. And I really hope that we can, I don't want to say I hope that we can, but I just know that that's a very what can I say? What else can I say? There's so much that we need to pay attention to. And I'll leave it there.